Now, before we get started, did you ever want to keep track of your personal belongings? Well, now you can with Track It Home's T2 GPS tracker. This handy little device can easily fit in or on anything that you want to protect, or if you want to know where it is. This device can be used to help prevent all sorts of nightmare scenarios, such as car thefts, human trafficking, and a lot more. It is also equipped with a listen-in feature that allows you to listen to activities going on around the device. This device is great to keep tabs on elderly loved ones that need special care, your rowdy pets that like to wander off, your children when they leave the house on the weekends, and also great to place inside luggage for traveling around the country or abroad. It's a one-time purchase for this device, and once activated, you can keep track of wherever in the world it is located via Track It Home's mobile app, a free download from the App Store or Google Play Store. Every household should have several of these devices, and Track It Home offers the easiest and simple device to use. So easy, even grandma can figure it out. Keep track of your most precious belongings today. Visit trackithome.net and use promo code X22 for 20% off your purchase. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, Trump declared a national emergency today, and we can see that the deep state, the Dems, they're going to try to stop this in any way they possibly can. But what's happening right now is that D.C. is panicking. And we're going to be talking about this in just a minute. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's introducing a bill looking to stop Trump's emergency declaration. Now, of course, she's going to introduce this bill in the House, but we need to remember the Senate was the key. The bill will be blocked. The bill will not be able to move forward. And everything that they try, it's going to be very, very difficult. And we'll be talking about a lot of this later in the report because Q has been dropping a lot of breadcrumbs, and I integrated everything with what Q has been doing with the report. But before we get there, something very interesting is happening in Venezuela. Maduro came out and he said that his foreign minister recently had secret talks in New York with the U.S. Special Envoy to Venezuela. He said that while in New York, his foreign minister invited the Washington, D.C. based envoy, Elliot Abrams, to come to Venezuela privately, publicly, or secretly. If he wants to meet, just tell me when, where, and how, and I'll be there, Maduro said. Now, what's very interesting is that it looks like there were talks before this. Now, the first talks were very aggressive. The second set of talks was a little bit more relaxed. And I do believe that Trump has Bolton, Pompeo, Rubio out there doing what they do best, continually pushing for regime change in Venezuela. And this is keeping the mainstream media very, very busy. So 2 senior Venezuelan officials, who are not authorized to discuss the meetings publicly, said the 2 encounters between Abrams and Foreign Minister Jorge Arrezia came at the request of the U.S. Now, we know the neocons, the deep state, they don't normally request meetings. They don't like to negotiate. What they like to do is say, hey, either you do it our way or that's it. We attack you. We have regime change. We've seen this time and time again. Now, Venezuelans saw this meeting as a sign there is room for discussion with the Americans. Now, we need to remember Trump, he likes to negotiate. And if we go back to North Korea, remember in the beginning when we had all the mainstream media outlets, we had all the different individuals in the government, we had all these people saying that we were going to war, and Trump and Kim Jong-un going back and forth, it seemed like we were actually headed in that direction. And they were calling each other's names, and they were talking about all different things. It seems like we might have the same thing going on in Venezuela. And what I think is going to happen in the next coming days or weeks, we will see Maduro out there calling Trump names. We've already been seeing that. Trump might lash out against him with tweeting. Rubio, Bolton, Pompeo, they'll be doing their part to push the regime change in Venezuela. During this time, everyone will be monitored. Those individuals that are trying to sneak weapons into Venezuela, those individuals that are doing other type of operations, covert operations, they are being monitored as this happens. The Patriots are watching the CIA and other players. The mainstream media will continue to report on how Guaido is gaining ground. In the meantime, talks will be happening behind the scenes. Remember, Trump is a negotiator. He looks at the gray areas. He's not just black and white, like the neocons and the deep state operatives. And we can see already that the mainstream media, they're continually putting out articles saying that Guaido's opposition, it's building, he's doing this, he's doing that. But lately, I believe the mainstream media is starting to catch on and starting to realize that this might not happen. Because out of Bloomberg and out of the New York Times, we have articles that are coming out saying that the opposition, it looks like they might be losing steam. And it looks like this movement might not go anywhere. So I do believe the mainstream media, I believe they're catching on to the strategy that Trump uses. And they're starting to realize that this whole thing in Venezuela might not be what it seems. And I do believe that Trump needs to create peace in Venezuela because this was another hot spot, and he needs to collect as much evidence as possible on what they're doing out in Venezuela, just like they did in Syria, just like they did in North Korea. And if you notice, we're seeing peace throughout the region. We're not seeing war, we're seeing peace. Actually, in Syria, U.S. forces withdrew from key base in northeastern Syria, and this is the city of Qamishli. So already we're starting to see troops, they are withdrawing from Syria. Even though the mainstream media doesn't want to admit this, and they keep saying it's not happening, it actually is happening. Let's get into some of Q's posts here. We have post 2711, and Q put up Red Castle, Green Castle, the picture, and under this it says, "You will not win, Pelosi. You didn't think the largest military spending bill in history wasn't going to indirectly include funding for the wall, did you?" Now, under this, Q put up an article from Fox News, and it says, "Trump will sign border security bill, declare national emergency, White House says." And Q says, "Annans knew last March. Do you believe in coincidences? At what point is it mathematically impossible? Hashtag winning bigly, Q." Let's move on to post 2712. And there's a picture of a frog with Q in the eyeballs. And under this, it says hashtag winning bigly and how. Under this, it says credit to Annans who deciphered Red Green Castle. Why must we communicate this way? Think national security laws, Q. Q is letting us know that the communication needs to be done in this fashion. It's necessary. Otherwise, it would violate national security laws. Giving us clues is allowed. And with those clues, we can put the pieces together and figure out the messages. This is not illegal. This is why Q just can't come out and tell you what the plans were, because of national security purposes. Now, we know that Trump has declared a national emergency today. And Trump did mention during his speech that this has been done many times before. Presidents have declared national emergencies for nearly 50 years. Barack Obama declared 13 national emergencies, 11 of which continue to this day. And some of them include swine flu, the Flint water crisis, Iran. And you can see that some of these, were they really a national emergency? The Flint water crisis, this was located just in one state. It wasn't really national. But he included this as a national emergency. The swine flu, I don't really know if that was a national emergency at the time. But no one objected to it. They were okay. No one had a problem with it. And it seems like people have a problem with Trump declaring a national emergency at the border. And Trump came out and he kind of told everyone, this is what the deep state is planning. Take a listen.
I really appreciate you being here. So the order is signed, and I'll sign the final papers as soon as I get into the Oval Office, and we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there, and we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court, just like the ban. They sued us in the Ninth Circuit, and we lost, and then we lost in the appellate division, and then we went to the Supreme Court, and we won. And it was very interesting because yesterday they were talking about the ban, because we have a ban. It's very helpful, Madam Secretary. Is that right? Without the ban, we'd have a bigger problem. We have a ban on...
And as you can see, he laid out exactly what the deep state will do. And eventually what will happen is Trump will win. Let's move on to post 2713. And Anon said, got eyes on someone in China early today. Thanks, Q, for all you and your people are doing to unite our world. We owe you more than you know. Q says, we only go public when we want the target to know. So the Anon asked the question. Q responded that they wanted the target to know they were being watched. The world is watching their operation. Let's move on to post 2714. Q put up a picture of all the different individuals that have been fired. And Q says, memes are important. Mod attached, RE FBI only, RE last drop, RE fired. If nothing criminal, treason versus duly elected president, occurred, why then did majority of senior FBI leadership get fired or removed? What do they all have in common? What do they have in common? They were Clinton's protection, the firewall, the offensive line. So they're all connected to Clinton to protect her. Q went on to say, the Department of Justice later, 2 more departures imminent. So one of them might be Rod Rosenstein. Who is the other? We will see very, very soon. Post 2715. And Anon put up, is Sather talking to Washington Post a good thing? And under this it says, more importantly, why is the Washington Post leading the attack versus Q? Who owns the Washington Post? Bezos. Who funds Amazon? The CIA. Who targeted the NSA RE surveillance, expose, prevent Uranium One, Iran? Why are we attacked daily by the largest news companies on the world? Now that is a spelling error. Q meant to say in the world, and in the next post says this is just a spelling error. It's not code for anything. Use caution. High follower count targeting to direct deep in narrative mob as method to remove. Now I interviewed Jordan Sather. I know him. I've interviewed him a couple times on my other channel, which is the X22 Report Spotlight channel, if you didn't know I had another channel. And we know that the Washington Post most likely will spin this story to make Jordan look like he's absolutely crazy. But you have to remember who owns the Washington Post. What's their agenda? Their agenda is to spread propaganda, to make all of us look like we're absolutely nutso. Post 2716. Q refers everything back to post 2715 and said spelling error by mistake on the move, Q, and we just mentioned that. Post 2717 gave a link to a Twitter account, the Justice Department, and it says, welcome back to the Department of Justice, Attorney General Barr. Effective today, Mueller reports to Barr now. Brackets bold, coming weeks, Q. So what's coming in the next coming weeks? Well, we're going to see a lot more stuff happen. Post 2718, Q gave us a link to a Twitter account, and the Twitter account is to run the race. This is a national emergency, went public at 3:14 exactly. And basically what Run the Race is telling us is that there's a picture of the watch from a previous post that shows the time at 3:14. National emergency went public exactly at 3:14. And Q is just saying, and this was a post back from January 5th, by the way, and it was a pic of the watch. Q says, how is this possible? On the same day as Barr confirmation? What a coincidence. Defied the word plan. This was all planned out. Post 2719. Q gave us another link to a Twitter account, Normie Woke AF, And this is a screenshot of Trump, and under it, it says, "The Great Awakening." And Q says, "What a coincidence," returned publicly, pace picking up. Q. So take a listen to what Trump said about the Great Awakening.
With this strategy, we are calling for a great reawakening of America, a resurgence of confidence, and a rebirth of patriotism, prosperity, and pride.
So is this a coincidence that Barr is now in office? We have a national emergency, and Trump says there's a great awakening coming? No, this has all been planned. Now it's time to bring the pain. Let's move on to post 2720. Now there's an Anon who put up the screen grab, and Q is just recognizing at RedPill78 and Normie Woke AF for posting a Fox headline which showed Trump calling for the Great Awakening. That's all that is right there. So we're going to move on to post 2721. Q puts up a picture of the Punisher, and this means pain is coming. Post 2722, it says, "No mercy, no bargaining, a traitor's justice, pain," which P-A-I-N, letting you know pain is coming. Post 2723 puts up a link to a video, and this video has Tucker Carlson talking about how the Department of Justice held meetings on how to oust President Trump, almost what they call a coup d'etat. And Q says this is a truth push. The truth is coming out, and everyone's going to know what really happened here. Post 2724, Q put up the following: a traitor's justice, phase 3, panic in D.C., rats everywhere. For those who decide to save the taxpayers some money, there is no escaping God. Letting us know that we're in phase 3 right now, and this means pain is coming, that justice is coming, that arrests are coming, because all the legwork that was done before was a setup to allow them to arrest these people, to put them on trial. That's what this was all about. You needed to set everything up. We only have one shot at this. So they had to put all the pieces together, remove the protection, and get everything ready to go. So if we go back to post 1297, this is April 29, 2018. And back then, this is from Q+. Q posted this from Q+. It says the next phase will bring justice. We are in the next phase. Here we go. This is being done with each phase. And this is why when people say, oh, nothing's happening, because you can't have anything happen unless you set everything up. Yes, the goal is for arrest. The goal is to bring people to trial. But if you don't have the protection removed, if you don't have the Supreme Court justices, if you don't have the other judges around the country in place, how do you do that? They tried it with Clinton. And guess what? Her protection blocked everything. So if everyone was calling for arrests back in 2018 or 2017, you know what would happen? They would have blocked it all, and nothing would have been done. Think about what Trump is doing now with the national emergency. He already explained that they're going to sue. It's going to go to the Ninth Circuit Court. Then it's going to go someplace else. Then it's going to end up in the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court, what does he have there? He has control. He has the majority. All the other court systems, he doesn't. So you can see that we just couldn't have arrest. That would be impossible. Everything needs to be put into place. And he's still, not just Trump, but the Patriots, they're still working on that. Remember, the deep state is deep and wide. But what's very interesting, and this is at post 2725, remember, FISA works both ways. They're monitoring all these traitors. They're hearing chatter now. Bill and Hillary's public health will begin to rapidly deteriorate. Why? Because they're closing in on all these individuals. They realize, oh, this is getting bad really fast. And out of Judicial Watch, they just received documentation which reveals FBI cover-up of chart of potential violations of law by Hillary Clinton. So they announced that they received 186 pages of records from the Department of Justice, including emails documenting an evident cover-up of a chart of potential violations of law by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. These newly obtained emails came in response to a May 21st order by U.S. District Judge Reggie B. Walton to the FBI to begin processing 13,000 pages of records exchanged exclusively between Strzok and Page between February 1st, 2015 and December 2017. The FBI may not complete review and production of all Strzok-Page communications until at least 2020. 3 days after then, FBI Director James Comey's press conference announcing that he would not recommend prosecution of Mrs. Clinton, a July 8, 2016 email chain shows that the special counsel to the FBI's executive assistant director in charge of the National Security Branch, whose name is redacted, wrote to Strzok and others that he was producing a chart of the statutory violations considered during the investigation of Clinton's server and the reasons for the recommendation not to prosecute. So right there and then, Judicial Watch got them. And this is why Q is telling us that we're hearing chatter of Bill and Hillary's public health beginning to rapidly deteriorate. And let's not forget about Uranium One and all the other things. Post 2726. Q says, be alert next 10 days. False flag attempts may be carried out in an attempt to change narrative. Negative optics in brackets. High possibility of multiple day coverage event forcing pause on news. See something with an arrow pointing to say something. Now this is very interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I received an email from YouTube on February 13th saying that one of my videos, they were restricted now. And the interview was with Stephen Lenman. This was back in 2015. So it has been on the Spotlight channel for 3.5 years or so, around approximately that time period, with no problems. Then all of a sudden, I get an email that it is restricted. What was this interview about? This interview was about false flags happening in multiple cities. Last time something like this happened, we had shootings in the country. Remember when all of a sudden YouTube started to restrict or give strikes to many YouTube channels about shooting events? I had one on X22 Report and on the Spotlight channel. They had to do with Sandy Hook and other things. And all of a sudden, a couple days later, we had something happen. So it looks like, and this really surprised me when I got this on February 13th, and I said to myself, okay, something is going to happen. And it's funny that Q came out and is actually saying the same exact thing. So in New Orleans, we see that the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness is seeking 200 volunteers to participate in a full-scale exercise simulating a complex attack on a parade. This is very interesting because we know that there is usually certain events that happen after drills or during drills. So what we're seeing right now, and Q is letting us know, something might happen. Will it happen? We don't know. But with YouTube bringing down or restricting a video, this is very interesting. Let's move on to post 2727. And Anon said, I don't think anyone is surprised. Got to the bottom of the pit to harm another human being. By the way, they do. Hang them high. And Q said the following, gave us a link to The Hill, and this says, the Senate passes bill to make lynching a federal crime. And Q says, in the past, what was the punishment for a traitor? Well, it was lynching. Isn't it strange that they're passing a bill to make it illegal to lynch? Do you think they know what's coming? Q says, coincidence? No, it is not. Post 2728. And Anon put up a link to a video, and this is the same video that we saw before about how there was a coup d'etat. And under this, the Anon said, Department of Justice held meetings on how to oust President Trump. Why, hours after the election, did 7 people travel to an undisclosed location to hold a very private and highly secured, guarded meeting? Annans knew it beforehand. And under this it says, you have more than you know. It's all there. Future proofs past. So when Annan realizes that, yeah, this is all connected. These people went into a room, they had a secret meeting, and they planned a coup d'etat. And guess what? It failed. Post 2729. Q puts up a link to that missile that was fired. And it says, remember the cover story for this? Helicopter, coincidence, Air Force One to Canada to North Korea. Bigger than the 25th Amendment attempt to remove. Depth of this is very serious. So let's go back in time here. Trump left Canada and arrived in Singapore on June 9th, 2018. The missile launch was June 10th. Trump met with Kim on June 12th. The missile launch was a false flag by the deep state to start a war. So Running the Race put up this great graphic showing where the missile was launched, and this was around the Seattle area, and it was brought down as it flew near Alaska, around that area, and it was brought down by the Patriots before this missile was able to reach the area of North Korea. What they were trying to do is they were trying to maybe hit Trump and start a war. And Q is telling us that this is bigger than the coup d'etat with the 25th Amendment. This is much bigger, and this is much, much more serious than people even know. And remember, there was a cover story about this whole entire thing. Post 2730. And Annam put up, wife of burned amputee veteran here. We are ready. We are with you. We will continue to fight. Godspeed. Q+++. Q says, your husband answered the call as a brave and selfless patriot. We are forever grateful for his service and sacrifice to this country. May God bless you and your family. Honor and respect. Q. Post 2731. Q put up the following. Why hours after the election did 7 people travel to an undisclosed location to hold a very private and highly secured, guarded meeting? Under this, Q put up, think McCabe, number 2, in brackets in bold, interview, RE meeting, the 25th Amendment. Think Rod Rosenstein, wear a wire, attempt to entrap using the 25th Amendment. Number 2, accounted for. Identification remaining coming. Note, border open context, same drop. Border has more importance than what is publicly disclosed. And Trump tweeted out the following. Trying to use the 25th Amendment to try and circumvent the election is a despicable act of unconstitutional power grabbing, which happens in third world countries. You have to obey the law. This is an attack on our system and Constitution. Alan Dershowitz, at Tucker Carlson. Now, Lisa Crowley tweeted out the following. She said, looking over old drops, wondering if the 7 traitors who met to discuss the insurance policy were Hussein, Hillary Clinton, Lynch, Comey, McCabe, and struck with Rod Rosenstein being the 7th person cooperating together. Support from Schumer, Pelosi, Schiff, plus 6 classified names and UK MI6. And she's referring to post 436. This was on December 22nd, 2017. And it could be these individuals. Most likely they are. Post 2732 put up a link to Fox News. And this is Michael Goodwin. Andrew McCabe is a national disgrace, and we owe him a big, fat thank you. Q says, dark to light. The orders came from the highest office in the land. This is the office of the president, which Q is saying the orders came from Obama. Post 2733 gave us a link to Twitter. This is from 7 Flamingos, and it says the following. Interesting post by @US Army this morning. THAAD is Terminal High Altitude Aerial Defense, an anti-ballistic missile defense system for short, medium, and intermediate range ballistic missiles, and gives us a picture of the post 2729 with THAAD saying this is what brought down that missile that was fired. Post 2734. And Annan put up Yes, the F-15 plane pic Q posted, and everyone thought that this might mean February 15th. So what happened today, February 15th? National emergency was declared today. What other things happened today? Well, let's go forward. Post 2735. Q put up that entire post of Ruth Bader Ginsburg about who's treating her illness, all